The Batman Arkham series is considered one of the greatest gaming franchises ever made. Each game has been a massive critical and financial success, proving that the Arkham series is one of the most successful gaming franchises to exist. The series came to an end with the release of Arkham Knight. However, there's a chance we could have gotten a follow-up that would directly tie into the ending of Arkham Knight. This new Batman game was being developed by Warner Bros. Montreal, but at some point, it was cancelled in favor of Gotham Knights. So what happened to this unmade Batman game, and why was it cancelled in the end? After the release of Batman Arkham Origins, Warner Bros. Began work on their next project, centered around the Suicide Squad. At some point, the game would be cancelled, with Rocksteady acquiring the IP for their very own Suicide Squad game. At this point, Warner Bros. Montreal had two options. One, make another game with a completely different IP, or revisit the Arkhamverse with a brand new Arkham game. Warner Bros. Montreal chose the latter and began work on a new entry to the Arkham series, this time as a direct continuation to Arkham Knight. The story would have been set 10 years after the events of Arkham Knight. With Batman disappearing from the public spotlight, Gotham would fall into chaos, with criminals taking full control of the city. Gotham here appears post-apocalyptic and decrepit. Years of Batman's absence has driven the city to a point of collapse. Batman is still around at this point in time, but he seems old and disheveled. He's pretty clearly past his prime. Batman seems to have abandoned his Bruce Wayne persona, now fully focused on his war on crime. However, Batman learns that he cannot save Gotham like he used to in the past. He must find a successor to the mantle, but characters like Red Hood are far too violent and murderous, and Nightwing has always refused to take up the mantle. This is where Damian Wayne enters the story. Batman would become his mentor and train him to become the next Batman and bring order to Gotham City. Batman in this game wears a brand new metallic batsuit with a glowing red bat logo. This design is clearly inspired by Batman Beyond and even uses a very similar bat logo. This version of Batman looks a lot more aggressive, and the glowing red logo only serves to make him appear more intimidating. There were other pieces of Batsuit concept art. These designs appeared more futuristic, but instead of a red bat logo, the suit had a plethora of blue lights. His mouth also seems to be covered by a mask, concealing Batman's iconic jaw. This design is the least complicated of the concepts. The metallic body armor is once again present, and the overall design really reminds me of how the Batsuit appeared in the Christopher Nolan films. With a new Batman also comes new villains he must face off against. The game would have seen returning villains such as Two-Face, who in this game is renamed the Judge. Two-Face here seems to have climbed the ranks of the criminal underworld. He now looks more authoritative, and his attire appears much more high class and luxurious. Poison Ivy also appears to return. This is likely not the original, but a legacy version of the character, who is either a successor or Poison Ivy's daughter. This version of the character doesn't seem to have the power to control plants. Instead, she appears to use chemical weapons. Black Mask also returns, but this time it's a female variant who is likely his daughter, who took on the mantle after his death in Arkham Knight. She appears to be holding a bloody red hammer, showcasing how violent and brutal she is, likely something she inherited from her father. White Rabbit appears in the concept art as well, but she's much older and unkempt. Time has not been kind to her appearance. She appears sickly, and her body is covered in many cuts and bruises. Although it was never confirmed, the Court of Owls were rumored to be one of the main antagonists of the game. In fact, there's apparently concept art of Talon, who appears larger and seems to be wearing a metallic suit. The court's role in the story is unknown, but we can infer that they likely sought to control Gotham after its collapse. Essentially, this Arkham game would have been a power struggle between the criminal underworld, Batman, and the Court of Owls, all fighting for control of Gotham. The game itself would not have strayed too far from the traditional Arkham formula. The game would have used the same combat and stealth system and gliding as the main way of transporting. However, this game would have included a brand new form of transportation. Instead of the Batmobile, Batman would have used the Batbike as his main mode of transportation. This Batbike went through many different designs, such as this one, which gives the Batbike several red lights, a design addition that would have made it more visually interesting. Other Batcycles play around with its silhouette and structure of the body to try and find the most ideal design. One other new gameplay feature was the addition of the Nemesis system, a gameplay feature that was introduced in the Shadow of Mordor series. The system is an AI mechanic that granted enemies the ability to remember the player's actions and choices. This feature allowed for very creative encounters and allowed the world to feel more real and lived in. It's unknown how the Nemesis system would have worked in this Arkham game, but you'd likely see certain thugs rise up the criminal underworld or encounter the same thugs over and over again who'd always remember their last run-in with Batman. Essentially, it's a system where enemies could learn and adapt to Batman's actions.
Hey Batman! I guess Scarecrow gave you the slip! You broke my wrist for... Oh!
This game must have been far along in development, not only because of the concept art, but also due to a leak that happened a couple of years ago, where Warner Bros. Montreal accidentally showcased the game during a promotional video. We can even notice a shot of Batman kneeling beside a car. This promotional video was quickly deleted after it was posted. This would be the first and only time we'd see the game in action, as it would be cancelled in 2017. There are many theories for why the game was shelved, but the most likely of these explanations was that Warner Bros. Montreal got cold feet about the game's direction and felt that a Damian Wayne Batman game would not be that appealing to the general audience. Thus, they began work on Gotham Knights. Not only were the Bat family more known to the general public, but these RPG-style games were gaining popularity. This game will likely never see the light of day, but it's always interesting to look back at the unused ideas and see the game we could have received instead of Gotham Knights.